When you stop being available, everything changes. Your silence exposes who truly cared and who only used your presence. Subscribe and step deeper into the psychology they don't want you to understand. When you are always available, people stop seeing you, not because you vanished, but because you became part of the background noise of their lives. Constant presence dulls the senses. It breeds familiarity, and familiarity kills value. In psychology, we call it emotional adaptation, the human tendency to normalize what is consistently accessible. The more you give, the less they feel. The more you stay, the less they see. You think your loyalty earns love, but what it really earns is invisibility. Jung once said, "People don't see others as they are, they see projections of themselves." When you're always there, you become a canvas for their projections, their comfort, their insecurities, their needs. They stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a function, the one who listens, the one who waits, the one who understands. And when they've drained what they came for, they call it peace while you call it emptiness. Being constantly available is not kindness. It's self-erasure. It's offering your energy to people who've forgotten its worth. You start to bend around others' moods, shrink your needs and silence your intuition just to maintain a connection that barely breathes. But inside, something breaks. You begin to feel unseen, unheard, unimportant. That's not coincidence. That's the psychological cost of being over-available. The shadow side of availability is dependency. Not theirs, yours. You stay present because you fear being forgotten. You give because you fear being replaced. But here's the truth, Jung would whisper. When you depend on being needed, you've already lost yourself. The moment you stop offering your energy freely, something inside you shifts. It's uncomfortable at first. Silence feels heavy. Emptiness echoes. But beneath that discomfort is power, the kind that comes from reclaiming your presence. When you withdraw, people notice. Suddenly, your absence has a weight they can't ignore. Your silence becomes louder than your words ever were. Those who took you for granted begin to feel the hollow space you left behind. Some will chase your energy again, not because they value you, but because they miss the control. Others will fade away, revealing they were only there for the convenience. Either way, you start to see truth unfold, quietly, mercilessly. In that space of withdrawal, you meet your real self. The one who no longer performs for approval, the one who doesn't chase validation, the one who simply exists, whole, enough, and unbothered. That's individuation, Jung's word for becoming your own person, free from others' projections. You stop asking, do they still care? And start asking, do I still care what they think? The difference feels like oxygen. When you stop being available, you teach others something profound, that your presence was never a guarantee. It was a privilege, and privileges can be lost. You stop rewarding neglect with attention. You stop chasing after people who only remember you when they need something. You stop bleeding energy into hands that never learned how to hold it. Everything changes when you reclaim your distance. People respect what they can't easily reach. They remember what they can't constantly have, and they start to value the silence that once terrified them. Because your withdrawal doesn't just remove you, it removes their illusion of control. So stop showing up for those who never look for you. Let your absence speak where your words no longer matter. The world begins to listen when you go quiet. And in that silence, power is born. When you pull back, something begins to stir in the silence. It's not just the world outside that reacts. It's the unseen layers of the human psyche. People feel it before they understand it. The absence of your voice, your presence, your energy, it disturbs the unconscious. Jung believed that absence awakens what has been buried. When you're no longer available, others are forced to face the void that your presence once filled. And that void is not empty. It's full of reflection, longing, and confrontation. We live in a world addicted to noise, constant messages, constant validation, constant connection. Silence feels unnatural, almost threatening. That's why when you stop being constantly accessible, people don't just miss you, they feel haunted by you. Your absence becomes a mirror, reflecting what they refuse to see about themselves. In your quiet, they meet their own loneliness, their own dependency, their own lack of depth. And that reflection burns. When you were available, you made it easy for others to escape their inner emptiness. You were a distraction, a comfort, a place to unload their thoughts. But when you retreat, they can't hide behind your presence anymore. They have to sit with themselves, and most people can't. Most people are terrified of their own company because it means facing what they've avoided, their fears, insecurities, and unmet desires. That's the true power of psychological absence. It's not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about allowing your silence to become medicine, a painful kind that forces awareness. You create distance, and that distance becomes a teacher. It shows others what they lost when they stopped valuing your presence. It shows them how dependent they were on your energy. It forces a confrontation between who they thought they were and who they really are without you. Silence is not empty. It's filled with meaning. It whispers things that words can't. It exposes truth. It doesn't shout, it echoes. And in that echo, people remember what they ignored. They remember your warmth, your steadiness, your understanding. What was once ordinary suddenly becomes sacred in its absence. What was taken for granted becomes irreplaceable. Some will try to reach you again, not because they've changed, but because your silence unsettles them. They want to erase the discomfort. They want the easy version of you back, the one who answered quickly, who always understood, who made things simple. But you can't go back. Once you've tasted the power of your own silence, noise feels cheap, attention feels heavy, availability feels dangerous. Your withdrawal creates contrast. It shows what was real and what was built on illusion. It draws a line between those who valued you and those who only valued access to you. When you're always reachable, people mistake your openness for weakness. But when you pull away, they realize it was strength. Your presence wasn't a given, it was a gift. The world doesn't respect what it has constant access to. The psyche works the same way. Desire thrives in distance, meaning grows in silence. When you're gone, your image grows sharper in their minds, your words echo louder. Your absence becomes a psychological weight, one that forces them to feel. So step back. Don't announce it, don't explain, just disappear into your own quiet. Watch how everything starts to shift, not only around you, but within you. The ones who were blind to your worth will begin to see. The ones who saw will draw closer in stillness. And you will finally understand that your silence was never emptiness. It was power, and in that power, they finally hear you. Every transformation begins with distance. You cannot become who you are while remaining who they expect you to be. When you pull away, you are not rejecting the world. You are reclaiming yourself. Jung called it the process of individuation, the alchemy of the soul. It begins the moment you stop giving your energy to everything and everyone that drains it. Withdrawal is not weakness, it's the first stage of transformation. At first it feels like loss. You feel disconnected, even guilty. The silence is heavy and the space feels endless. But that emptiness is not punishment, it's preparation. It's where you begin to see yourself without distortion. For too long you've lived through others' eyes, defining yourself by how they reacted to you. When you stop being available, the noise fades and your real voice begins to emerge. That voice doesn't seek approval. It doesn't need permission, it simply is. Separation is painful because it burns illusions. You start seeing people for what they are, not for what you needed them to be. You notice who only stayed when you were giving, who disappeared when you stopped serving their comfort. It's clarity disguised as loneliness. And clarity always costs something. You can't carry everyone into your becoming. Some must fall away so that your soul can rise. Jung believed that everything unconscious must be brought into awareness before transformation can occur. Your availability kept you in a trance, constantly responding, constantly giving, constantly distracted. You didn't have time to face the deeper parts of yourself. But when you withdraw, the unconscious surfaces. The parts you neglected come to light. You meet your anger, your exhaustion, your desire. You meet the version of yourself that was buried beneath the expectations of others. That's the alchemy, turning pain into understanding, turning silence into strength. In that solitude you begin to gather your energy, the same energy you once scattered across conversations, relationships, and spaces that never valued it. You stop bleeding your power into hands that couldn't hold it. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening. You start seeing that peace is not found in being accepted. It's found in being authentic. The less you chase connection, the closer you get to yourself. Transformation is subtle at first. You speak less. You observe more. You no longer react to everything that once pulled you apart. The same things that used to control you now pass through you like shadows. You realize you don't need to prove your worth by being constantly present. Your worth exists even in silence, even in distance, especially in distance. When you withdraw your availability, you force a shift in energy. The world starts to reorganize around your absence. People adjust, situations change, dynamics crumble. It's not chaos, it's recalibration. You are holding too much that was never yours to carry, and when you finally let go, the weight you thought was life turns out to be your own captivity. The alchemy of withdrawal teaches one truth, that separation is not the end of connection, but the beginning of consciousness. You start to love differently, think differently, exist differently. You stop needing to be understood, because you finally understand yourself. When you step back, you don't lose people. You lose illusions. You don't lose connection. You lose distortion. What remains is real. What remains is strong. What remains is you. And when you return transformed. When you stop chasing, the world begins to reveal itself. You start to see the truth that was always there, hidden behind the noise, the performance, the constant reaching. Scarcity has a strange power. It sharpens perception. It makes people see what they once ignored. When your presence becomes rare, it transforms from something ordinary into something unforgettable. That's the mirror effect, your distance reflecting their true intentions. People often confuse kindness with access. They think because you are always there, you always will be. But when you take a step back, you break that illusion. Your absence becomes a test, a quiet, merciless one. Those who valued your presence will feel the weight of it. Those who only valued your convenience will simply move on to the next source of attention. It's brutal, but it's honest. You begin to realize that being constantly available made you easy to overlook. You gave and they took. You stayed and they drifted. You tried to be seen, but your consistency made you invisible. Jung understood this paradox well, that what's most available is least valued, and what's scarce awakens desire. When you retreat, the same energy that once flowed outward turns inward. You no longer invest it in others' approval. You invest it in your own awakening. Something changes in the silence. People who once dismissed your presence start to feel it lingering in their minds. They replay moments. They remember your calm, your warmth, your energy. The same things they barely notice become things they can't forget. That's how the psyche works. We crave what we can't control. When you pull away, you become that psychological scarcity. Your energy becomes precious precisely because it's no longer accessible. This isn't manipulation, it's balance. It's the natural rhythm of human connection, approach and retreat, presence and distance. You were never meant to be endlessly reachable. Your soul needs mystery to breathe. When you step back, you create space for others to step forward. You allow the dynamic to reset. Some will rise to meet you with respect, others will reveal their dependence. Either way, truth surfaces. Scarcity exposes reality. It shows who truly values you beyond what you offer. It reveals who felt your essence, not just your usefulness. When you're always available, people assume you'll never change. They stop earning you. They stop appreciating you. But when you pull away, they're confronted with the loss of what they took for granted. It's a harsh awakening, but it's necessary. You start to feel your own energy differently too. You realize how much power you gave away in the name of connection. You see how often you tried to prove your worth through presence, but your worth never needed proof. It needed boundaries. Your silence becomes your language. Your distance becomes your protection. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves to experience you fully, and that's not cruelty, that's wisdom. When you stop chasing, you stop betraying yourself, you stop running after those who were never walking toward you. You stop begging for acknowledgement from people incapable of seeing depth. The energy you once wasted trying to be enough, turns inward and ignites something stronger, self-respect. The kind that doesn't scream, doesn't prove, doesn't chase. It simply exists, quietly powerful. Those who truly see you will stay, even when you withdraw. They won't demand your presence. They'll honor it. They'll understand that your silence doesn't mean disinterest, it means evolution. And the ones who disappear, they were never really there to begin with. Scarcity reveals truth. Truth reveals strength. And strength reveals who you were meant to become. When you stop chasing, everything starts to see you. When you stop explaining, justifying, or proving, you return to silence. And in that silence, the world rearranges itself around your absence. Those who were blind to your presence will finally feel it. Those who drained your energy will lose their supply. And those who were meant for you will find their way back, not to your weakness, but to your strength. Because the moment you stop being available, you stop being controlled. Your energy is no longer currency, it becomes power. So disappear, withdraw, reclaim yourself. Let your silence speak the truth your words never could. When you stop being available, you become unforgettable.